In the following dramatization, take note of how a husband and wife show faith like that of Abraham and Sarah.
Saying goodbye is never easy. And even though we were excited about our new LDC assignment, it was going to take us further than we'd ever been. It wasn't just a new routine. It was a whole new way of life. With each new move-in project, we thought about Sarah. She focused on the good things ahead, and not on what she'd left behind. And that's what we tried to do. Jehovah's been so good to us. We didn't always know where the next project would take us. But we did know that Jehovah would be with us every step of the way.
So again, we're watching the symposium talk, Imitate Women of Strong Faith, Sarah, which is being given by governing body member Kenneth Cook. And just a heads up, the dramatizations shown in this symposium are even harder to watch than usual because they have very little talking and lots of just fluff footage. We saw there lots of drone footage, lots of time lapse. There's nothing really substantial going on here. It's just minimal monologue, maximum propaganda. These are essentially videos promoting the organization and all of the various ways that Jehovah's Witnesses can support the organization. Bear in mind, this whole symposium is supposed to be praising women. And here the message seems to be that if you are a Jehovah's Witness woman, guess what? There's this wonderful way that you can help the organization, and that's by building stuff. We won't really let you be involved in any meaningful way that involves you sharing your ideas or you speaking or you solving problems. But we're quite happy to have you put on a hard hat and help the organization increase its real estate portfolio. That's essentially what LDC volunteering is all about. Back in my day, when I was a Jehovah's Witness, it wasn't called LDC, it was called RBC, Regional Building Committee. Nowadays, it's LDC, Local Design Construction, and they have departments and they have volunteers. It's all the same thing, really. It's the organization making use of volunteer labor to build properties that it reserves the right to then sell on at a profit to the organization. And again, we saw this, a very clear example of this, in the aftermath of Hurricane Maria when it hit Puerto Rico. The island was flooded with volunteers from mainland United States. that helped build over 100 kingdom halls. And only 2 years later, as I pointed out in my JW Broadcasting rebuttal, again, thumbnail is here for anyone who's hearing this for the first time, they built over 100 kingdom halls, and then 2 years later, half of them were up for sale on real estate listings. That's what this woman and her husband are volunteering for. They're volunteering to build property for Watchtower, whether it's kingdom halls, whether it's branch facilities, whether it's assembly halls, you name it. And Watchtower reserves the right at any point, perhaps due to downsizing because the organization is losing members or it's struggling in the information age, Watchtower reserves the right to cash in at any point by selling property that is the fruit of unpaid labor.
As demonstrated in that video, we can strengthen our faith by meditating on Jehovah's goodness to his people in the past and his goodness to his people today. Take time to meditate on how Jehovah has helped you when you've made sacrifices in his service. As the sister in the video stated, Sarah focused on the good things ahead and not on what she had left behind. We show faith like that of Sarah's when we support the decisions that are made by God's organization today, imitate Sarah's faith, and follow Jehovah's direction closely. When we are obedient to Jehovah's direction, then as Hebrews 13:17 states, the brothers may carry out their responsibilities with joy and not with sighing. For married sisters, this means displaying a Sarah-like spirit in their marriage. A Christian wife respects and supports her husband in doing Jehovah's will. The Apostle Peter wrote that such a spirit has great value in the eyes of God. What are some of the many ways in which sisters today display faith like Sarah's? Well, many Christian women of strong faith are supportive of their husbands in the circuit work. Many others leave family behind when accepting an assignment from local design construction or the School for Kingdom Evangelizers. And many sisters serving at Bethel do so far away from their families. And this is true of single sisters as well. All of these, and many more, show Sarah-like faith by trusting in Jehovah's loving care and making themselves available in his service. We are confident that Jehovah sees these acts of faith.
This talk really sets the tone for what's to follow. If you are a woman in the organization, it's all about subservience. It's all about knowing your place. It's all about finding ways to sacrifice yourself in some way for the benefit of the organization. It's ironic because, as I've already argued, this whole symposium seems to have been included, or at least from my point of view, seems to have been included to offset the outdated, sexist, misogynist material from last year's convention, in which women were again demeaned, reminded of their place, told to obey and support their husbands, even though they're partners, partners implying equal standing. It just so happens that one partner in a marriage is more equal than the other and has more say. So even though this symposium seems designed to put a more positive spin on things and elevate women by showing all the amazing things that women are doing in the Jehovah's Witness religion, they simply cannot help but revert to type, especially when they say things like,
for married sisters, this means displaying a Sarah-like spirit in their marriage. A Christian wife respects and supports her husband in doing Jehovah's will.
How exactly does this elevate women? I mean, remember, this whole symposium was introduced by Patrick Lafranca saying,
some consider women as being inferior to men and of little worth. How untrue.
Well, isn't that what's being described here? Women being inferior to men in that they must automatically support and respect them in whatever the man decides to do. Again, there's an imbalance here, isn't there, in the relationship, which conveniently falls in the favour of men, and women are just supposed to go along with whatever's decided. In fact, women are supposed to be so subservient to men, so obedient to men in allowing men to take the lead and decide things for them, that this obedience, this subservience, this really inferiority is pointed to as an example when it comes to how Jehovah's Witnesses in general should respond to direction. Notice where Kenneth Cook says,
"We show faith like that of Sarah's when we support the decisions that are made by God's organization today. Imitate Sarah's faith and follow Jehovah's direction closely. When we are obedient to Jehovah's direction, then, as Hebrews 13:17 states, the brothers may carry out their responsibilities with joy and not with sighing."
That's the extent to which women are treated as inferior in the Jehovah's Witness religion, to the extent where their subservience to men is pointed to as a model for Jehovah's Witnesses in general, so that in just the same way that Jehovah's Witness women are supposed to just follow along with whatever Jehovah's Witness men are telling them, Jehovah's Witnesses in general are supposed to just automatically obey anything they're told by the organization.